don't get it. They just don't get it. I cannot think of another time where the mainstream media has been this out of touch with normal people. After everything that has happened in the last couple of months, after the clear message that was sent to the media in November, where the overwhelming majority of Americans rejected the woke fungus, after normal people voted with their remote control and turned the media off, networks like CNN, MSNBC, they lost half their audience, which means CNN went from averaging a baker's dozen to barely averaging a baker's fuck. Obviously, this crushed the appetite of the donut diva Brian Stelter, since only half the usual amount of donuts are now being provided in catering. Ratings have gotten so bad throughout the media, it is almost impossible to find them. Invisible ratings started I'd say about 18 months ago with live sports and sports media. Since the election, daily ratings have suddenly disappeared for cable news. I wonder why. The message could not be any clearer. Normal people are no longer paying attention to the mainstream media. Yet for some reason, they still think we care. For some reason, they are still pleading for your sympathy, erroneously thinking that normal people actually care about them. You know, one thing most people in the media have in common, they are constantly begging for your attention. These people are addicted to attention. Doesn't matter whether it's good or bad, they just want you talking about them. Since the election, some in the media have tried to generate attention by pleading for your sympathy. Just yesterday, we talked about Big Red Joy Behar and the Yentas on The View having an emotional meltdown over the departure of Johnny B. Biden. Big Red broke down in tears as she sang the lyrics to the classic collaboration between Mariah Carey and Boyz II Men. And I know you'll always be my fearless leader, although America's submerged in an orange wave. And I know eventually we'll be together forever, Johnny Bay. Earlier this week, we saw Jim Kimmel crying because Donnie Trump had the audacity to criticize Gabby Newsom for his inability to locate water. Now, I'm no expert. I have never been a firefighter, much less risen the ranks to become a fire guardian. The only time I have been inside of a fire truck is when the department brought it by the school in kindergarten for show and tell, and they allowed us to play with the sirens. The only thing I know about fire, it burns. That is the extent of my expertise. But I'm pretty sure, matter of fact, I'm almost positive, in order to effectively fight fire, you need H2O. So it is a legitimate criticism of the governor of the People's Republic of California. His state borders the largest body of water in the world. And for some reason, Gabby just can't seem to locate it. Thursday night, Stephen Colbert became the latest in the media to use sympathy to generate attention. Now, notice I said Thursday night and not last night. Networks are no longer broadcasting late night shows 5 nights a week. Why? Because it's not profitable. With the trio of huge embarrassing failures hosting these shows, the networks, they can no longer find a way to monetize this turd. So they have decided to trim the schedule. And if you believe the lies told by Stephen Colbert Thursday night, the schedule for late night, it could be trimmed permanently. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel's in the description below. Either today or tomorrow on the second channel, I'm going to be talking about the latest ratings in the NBA and how the NBA was outdrawn Tuesday night by the Tiger Golf League. Supposed to play golf later this afternoon if it doesn't rain. I'm trying to take advantage of the nice weather that we've had the past couple of days because we are supposed to be covered in snow next week. But either way, head over to the second channel and subscribe. We're getting close to 10,000 subscribers over there. I appreciate all of you guys and your support. Thursday night, Steph Colbert continued the trend of being overly emotional and overly dramatic. Steph opened the show by informing his audience that this was going to be the final episode of his late night dump under the administration of Johnny B. Biden. Oh no! Naturally, the lonely men in his audience, they expect him to return on Monday. I mean, Monday's a big day, right? It is Martin Luther King Day. There will be a full slate of games in the NBA. Luckily for Adam Silver, Martin Luther King Day is the one holiday that Roger Goodell can't take away from him. The only problem is a much more powerful man emasculated Alice this year because Donald Trump will deplete the NBA's audience as the entire country celebrates his inauguration. If you're the host of a late night dump, there's absolutely no way you're missing work on Monday. This should be one of the easiest days of the year. The jokes will literally write themselves, which is great news for Steph and the two Jimmys because their comedy writers lack the ability to write comedy. But according to Steph Colbert, Thursday might have been the final time we see him in his doofus spectacles on television because the mythical tyrant Donald Trump, he might exercise presidential powers that do not exist and pull Steph off the air. Watch for yourself.
This is our last show of the Biden administration. Yeah, it's been a good run. Yeah. It's been a good run, Joe. Thank you. Thank you for all your efforts. The next time you all see me, Donald Trump will be president, and you may not see me. Next 4 years, we're taking this one day at a time.
First of all, do you really think Donald Trump gives a shit about Steph Colbert? With everything going on in the world, with all the disasters that John Biden, his pretend vice president, created, do you really think Donnie is worried about Steph? I'm more worried about Steph Curry than I am Steph Colbert. Steph Curry could get on a hot streak and shoot the Mavs out of the playoffs. Steph Colbert is completely useless. He doesn't have the ability to influence the easily influenced. Why would Donald Trump be worried about a scrub? And why would Steph Colbert be pretending to be worried about the Trumper? Correct me if I'm wrong here. Wasn't Steph contributing to climate change and polluting the airwaves from 2016 to 2020? During that 4-year period, wasn't Donnie the president? Or, as Steph would call it, the tyrannical dictator. If he survived those 4 years of mythical tyranny, why is Steph so worried about the next 4 years? Hell, why is he so worried about the next 48 hours? I know Steph Colbert was attempting to be humorous. I know Steph was pretending to be comedic, but the fear is real. Like I have been telling you guys for months, the mainstream media, they are shook. These big tech companies like Facebook, which is robotically ran by the cyborg Mark Zuckerberg, it is no coincidence that the cyborg is suddenly becoming chums with the Trumper. It's no coincidence that TikTok is shutting down on Monday. No coincidence that Billy Gates is having candlelit dinners with the Trumper at Mar-a-Lago. The potential ceasefire in the Middle East, you think that just suddenly happened? You think Hamas suddenly decided to become besties with their Jewish neighbors? Let's hold hands and sing. I love you, you love me. Let's live together peacefully. No more violence or terrorist attacks. We'll even give your hostages back. You think that was a coincidence? Are you naive enough to think that after 18 months, Johnny B. Biden negotiated a ceasefire? Johnny B? John Biden couldn't even negotiate his selection for vice president. You really think Cam Harris was his choice? John Biden couldn't negotiate his way to staying in the presidential race. And you expect me to believe that he negotiated a ceasefire in the most volatile region in the world? Like I said, the media is terrified. That's why John Scarborough and Mika Bazooka are spending romantic weekends at Donnie's. We have not seen this level of fear since March of 1995 when the Great One, the man Reggie Miller referred to as Black Jesus, the man, the icon, the goat of goats, the legend of legends. We have not seen this level of fear since Michael Jordan sent a fax to the media with two simple words: I'm back. And that is the same message that Donnie Trump sent to the media and the rest of the world. I'm back. As a result, Steph Colbert and the rest of the media, they are terrified. But why? Because they know the days of lying without consequence, those days are over. You know, it's one thing to make a mistake. It's one thing to exercise your right to free speech. It's one thing to make jokes, or in the case of late night comedy, attempt to make jokes. It's one thing to twist the truth to fit your personal narrative. Sean Hannity, he reports the news from a conservative perspective. If you watch Sean Hannity, you know exactly what you're going to get, which is fine. But it's completely different when you are fabricating scandals. It's completely different when you're colluding with the government. It's completely different when you're in the media and you're responsible for keeping the government in check and you have been politically compromised. You know what we used to call that? Corruption. Now it's called the media. The other night, Stephen A. Smith was on Fox News with Sean Hannity. Stephen A. was getting roasted. Sean Hannity was giving him the business in a friendly way. He was criticizing Stephen A. for being naive. He was calling him out for voting for cackling Cam Harris. Now, to his credit, Stephen A. took the criticism like a man. He didn't run away from it. He didn't make excuses. But he said something that I thought was interesting. Stephen A. Smith admitted that he was duped. He admitted that he was fooled by the mainstream media. He bought into the lies. He bought into the myths. He bit into the shit sandwich that the media was serving about Donald Trump. Now, this dude is a veteran in the media. Stephen A. has been in the mainstream media for decades, and he was fooled. But just like the rest of the country, he woke up. He even admitted that legacy media, the mainstream media, is finished. And therein lies the fear. Trump is just the face of fear. Trump is who they will blame. But the real reason the mainstream media is terrified, they know they have lost their influence and their power with you. Give me your thoughts on this. Steph Colbert jokes about hosting his final show, insinuating that he will no longer exist under the Trumper. Do you see the fear in the media? Is the media afraid of the Trumper, or are they afraid of you? Let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Best way to contact me is through email, btlkc84@gmail.com. I'll see you guys later.